Hi guys. Salad. Hello. Salad. Edgar.
Hello.
Yes, I think you can now hear me.
Yes.
Some of you have already left. Where have they gone to? Yes?
Yes.
Where have your fellows gone to? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. You're not getting me clearly. Are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you clearly.
Yes, where are others? Akina Gisheru had joined. Where are they?
Watakuja tu.
Hmm. Okay, because we have already lost some minutes, I'm just uploading the notes. So I remember last week we were talking about procurement, and we talked a lot about procurement and why as engineers we need to learn about procurement and what importance it has to our profession. We looked at all the requirements where we can apply it. Like for example, if you find yourself as a director of a company, or you find yourself employed as a manager in a certain company, and you have to control all the stock or all the goods that need to be bought, how do you know what to buy and what not to buy, at what time to buy? So we talked about so many things on procurement, and today we are going to talk. We are entering another topic that is on purchasing. So before we get here, I don't know, people have already left. Can we wait for them? Can you just tell them in the WhatsApp group that we have started?
Okay.
Tell them so that we start together as I continue uploading the notes.
Salad.
Yes.
Nasi amerudi ama?
Yes?
Amerudi amesema wana upload notes alafu ni post kwa group watu
Sawa.
wakuja.
So, Edgar,
Madam.
I am sorry for that interruption. You know, sometimes you get system problem.
Yeah.
So you could not get me. I could not even, it was reconnecting forever, but now it's okay. You're getting me now?
Yeah, we're getting you.
Yes.
Yes, I hope the others will join us. Salad, you've already told them that the class has started.
Yes.
Oh, so let us start. I was saying that last week we talked about procurement, and you guys kept telling me that I've not posted the procurement notes. So can we remind ourselves as we wait for those ones who had left to join what we learned last week? Edgar, were you there last week in the procurement class?
I was there but stima zilipotea nikatoka late. Nikatoka mapema.
Oh, but at least kuna kenye ulipata?
For around the first 30 minutes.
Ulikuwa?
Tutukumbushe
basi kenye ulisikia.
We defined procurement as kidogo tu ni confirm.
Kumbe ampitiangi hizo notes.
What unapitia?
Now I want us to do just a short review of what we learned last week before we start this week's work.
Yeah.
Salad.
Yes.
Vile Edgar anaendelea kutafuta, si unaweza sema kitu?
We learned about procurement and we say procurement is the act of obtaining goods. Yes.
Oh, it's the act of obtaining goods?
Goods or services.
Hivyo tu?
For business purpose.
For example, I want us to do now a live application. For example, you are now a manager in a company, or you own a company, and you need to procure some materials on site for a client. Yes?
Umepotea kiasi, hebu rudia.
Nasema assume that you are a contractor or a director of a company called Company A, and then you have been given a contract to do some electrical installation, or you have been given a subcontract, and now you want to purchase materials like wires and pipes and conduits and fittings that you are going to use. So what are some of the you realize that when you are doing this purchasing, you will experience both direct cost, indirect cost, isn't it? We talked about this, isn't it?
Yes.
So how is it going to affect? How do you think is this costing going to affect you, or what are you supposed to do, or what are the do's and the don'ts while you want to purchase these things?
Do.
Yes, what are the do's and don'ts? When I say do's and don'ts, what are you supposed to do and what are you not supposed to do? Is my question understandable?
Network yako inakatika kiasi.
Network yangu iko sawa kabisa. Edgar?
Madam.
Wewe unanipata?
Not that clearly, nakuja katika.
So bado leo tutasoma kweli? So nisonge tena? Nitafute network?
Kwani unasonga ukienda
hapa? Unajua tuko ushago, so unashinda unatembea unatafuta network. Sasa leo nimekuwa stress sana. Now, are you getting me now?
Yeah.
Sasa sema basi.
Ulisema the do's and the?
Nimesema, can I repeat the question again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nilisema hivi, assume umepewa contract ama subcontract by, by a company, and then you are the manager in that company, and you're supposed to buy some materials that you're going to use in your work. So you have a contract of buying site materials for electrical works. Putting into account of what we learned last week, of what the importance of learning procurement and how the steps that you're supposed to take in buying, what you're supposed to think of, and how you are supposed to make judgment to know which are the direct costs and the indirect costs. Now, I want you to tell me what are some of the decisions that you'll make for you to be able to procure the materials to the company or to the site.
Nikijaribu kwanza, you have to do the quotation. After doing the quotation, ujue the amount. Then kama we ni contractor haifai ukue bankrupt. Inafaa ukue na pesa. Saa ukipewa hiyo nini, then you insure the contract itself against either against hizo accidents kama fire hivyo.
Now, I want you to answer in line with the direct cost and direct cost. Wakati tulikuwa tunasoma juu ya procurement, we talked about direct cost. Na tukasema direct cost, these are the costs that affect the production directly of a commodity. For example, if you are now going to do installation in a site, then the output there is the services that you are going to give. So anything or any cost or any expense that is going to affect this production or this service directly is called a direct cost. And indirect costs are these costs that do not affect it directly. They're there, they are supposed to be present, but they do not affect the production directly. So before you decide or before you think of what is the product that is being affected or what is the service that is being delivered, then you have to ask yourself, this is the job I'm doing. What am I delivering? Now, like, I'm delivering a service of electrical installation. So this is a service I'm offering. So this is my product. My product is the service. So now what are the direct costs attached to this product? That is, if I'm supposed to purchase materials to site so that I can do the electrical work, what are these direct costs? So my question was, in line with the direct and indirect costs, what are some of the decisions that a manager can make when purchasing some of these goods? This is a very tricky question, but it is important for you to answer because that is the same way that the NEC examiners normally twist the question. So you have to think. We don't normally get direct questions. I cannot ask you what is direct cost. So I have to ask you in a way that you have to show me that you understand what the direct cost is. So I want somebody to attempt that. Salad, can you now talk?
Yes.
Yes.
I think direct cost refers to anything related to the cost of a good sold, of the cost of a good sold and product, including items and part of a finishing product, such as like raw materials and the other things. Even I think like insurance. Hivyo tu. Hivyo.
Sawa. So at least you people know now how to differentiate. At least if you are asked a question like now, what are the direct costs? You can be able to know what the direct costs are and you can be able to explain them. So I want us to go to today's presentation and we are going to talk about purchasing. So what is the meaning of purchasing? Purchasing refers to buying of materials of the right quality and the right quantity from the right source, delivered to the right place, at the right time and at the right price. That is purchasing. Purchasing is trying to buy something. So we can mute our mics as we start the lesson. So when we talk about purchasing, purchasing is the ability to buy. Before you buy something, you have to ask yourself, am I capable to buy? That is, am I buying whatever I want to buy? Is it of the right quality? Is it of the right quantity? How much, how many materials do I need to buy? What is the quantity of the materials I need to buy? And then from the right source, am I buying from the right person? Or I'll keep calling this person now and again because of faulty goods that have been supplied. Another thing that I may ask myself is, am I buying it at the right time? Or like, for example, I wanted to buy milk in bulk, or I wanted to buy packets of milk. And then I ask myself, if I am buying them right now and I want to use this milk like 3 weeks from now. So is this the right time? Or I'm buying a cement. I want to start a construction. So now that I want to start a construction, I need to purchase cement. And then I decide that the first thing that I'll buy in my construction materials is cement. Instead of even starting with stones, I start with cement. So you ask yourself, am I buying? Yes, I need to buy this thing. But am I buying at the right time? So we ask ourselves, and also, are you buying it at the right price? So you have to do the market study. You have to go to do some piloting. You go and ask and know what the market prices of things are before you can decide to buy something. So the critics are of the above definition are, what is right in contingent of a particular organization or situation. Some of the above rights can be traded off with another, e.g., it may be possible to attain the right quality but not the right price. Sometimes we can get a right product. Sometimes you can get companies that are selling things at a cheaper price, or good products, selling them at a very higher price. And sometimes somebody selling it at a cheaper price but of a poor quality. So we ask yourself, am I getting all these things that I need? And then there's another thing is, number 3 of the critics is, the above definition is outmoded, that is traditional, and it implies that purchasing is, number A, reactive rather than proactive, i.e., purchasing is an activity of buying what is instructed to buy rather than one taking an initiative in helping to determine the purchasing policies. Sometimes you are sent to the market, I want a loaf. So because you have been told to go and buy a loaf, you just go and buy without any critics, but provided whatever you are told to buy is a loaf of bread. So sometimes you go there and get it at a very high price, and because you are sent a loaf of bread, you just buy it without even considering. So those are some of the disadvantages of the critiques of the definition. And then the traditional rather than relational, it is primarily concerned with the mechanic order processing on a one-off basis rather than an establishment where appropriate or long-term collaborative supplier relationship. So tactical rather than strategic, that is, purchasing is focused on short-term buyer rather than other contributing to the achievement of the long term. So purchasing can also be defined as acquisition of inputs. Now that is the most current definition that we have after looking at those critiques up there and realizing that they have some shortfall. So it is defined as, purchasing can also be defined as the acquisition of input of goods and services from external supplier or providers. It comprises of the essential activities associated with the acquisition of materials, services, and equipment used in the operation of an organization, and have the following stages. So there are several stages for purchasing, and we are going to go through them. So the one of the processes is the recognizing a need. Before you purchase something, you have to recognize that you really need that thing before you can purchase it. That is, in organizations, needs are organized in many ways, i.e., per department may contact purchasing to buy new production equipment or new computers. Purchasing may be notified of an order for component parts by the material requirements planning system. So identifying a supplier is the second part of the purchasing. So if you want to purchase, you have to ask yourself, now who is the best person to supply me this product? So identify the supplier may be as simple as making sure the email address is correct. Electronic orders are as complex as asking for pre-bid proposals on major capital equipment, conducting bidders meeting and evaluating many detailed proposals. So qualifying and placing an order. So once the supplier has been identified, the order must be initiated, contract signed, or some step taken to give the goods delivered or services provided. So purchasing is usually then responsible for determining if orders are filled correctly. So if contract terms are met, if goods meet standards, and if supplier performs satisfactorily. Another process or another step is monitoring and managing the delivery process. That is, after identifying the person who has qualified to place the order, then you monitor the process. You monitor and see if this person actually is going to supply what is supposed to be supplied. So by monitoring, the primary purchasing makes sure that the correct goods were delivered in the correct quantity at the right place. So if not, purchasing takes some action and fills the gap. So another step is evaluating the purchasing and the supplier. So what is here is this is a two-stage process. A particular purchase may go well or poorly. Most purchasing organizations summarize the accumulated experience with a supplier through many transactions and many purchases. When many transactions fail to meet standards, purchasing then seeks new suppliers. So activities in purchasing. What are some of the activities? After knowing the process, we have known that this process goes through this process, goes through this process. So we ask ourselves, what are the activities involved in purchasing? What do we need to do? Number one is to coordinate the user departments to identify the purchase needs. We have already said that. And then we discuss with the sales representative, then identification of the potential suppliers. Those are the activities. They're just like the process. Then conducting marketing study for important materials, then negotiating with the potential suppliers, analysis of proposal, selection of suppliers, then issuing of purchases orders, then administration of contracts and resolution of related problems is another thing. Oh, sorry, Edgar, for being too fast. Let me slower the pace. So we have talked about the processes, and the processes and activity all relate to each other. They're almost the same because each step needs an activity, like analysis of the proposal. That is the process of identifying the person or the supplier, the person that is needed to supply. Then issuing of purchase orders. Then procurement, that is procurement process or concept, encompasses a wide range of supply activities than those included in the purchasing function. So there are more buyer participation in related material activities. So procurement activities, these are some of the activities that are also involved in the purchasing activities. That is, now we look at the procurement activities. It's the participation in the development of materials and service requirements and their specifications, conducting materials studies and management of the value analysis and activities. Those are the activities that involve in the procurement activities. Then we have conducting more extensive material market studies, then conducting all purchasing function activities, and then management of supplier quality. Then another thing is purchase of inbound transportation, then management of investment recovery activities. So those are some of the things that the purchasing stages cannot do without. It's very important for you guys to know some of these things because they are very important. And then evolving of purchasing. How did purchasing come about, or what is the origin of purchasing? So the history is given there. I might not read everything there because I'll give you these notes. But what you need to know that purchasing started a long time ago. That is about 2800 BC. That is very long ago, where A.L. Rush, chairperson, was to deliver 50 jars of fragment smooth oil in return of paid 600 small weight grain. So purchasing a long time ago, we didn't have the cash that we normally use, that is called the currency. And since the currency was not there, there's something that used to exist which was called barter trade. And this barter trade is what used to be used and what used to happen a long time ago. So during the 1950s, attention was given to organizations, policies, and procedures of purchasing functions and emerged as a recognized managerial activity. So purchasing continued to gain stature as the techniques of performing the function because more refined as the supply, people trained and competent to make sound purchasing decisions increased. So with the time, people have learned how to make these decisions. People have learned how to do this purchasing and what are the requirements of doing this purchasing and what people need to make the decisions in the purchasing. And then stages, there's different stages of purchasing. We have now the product-centered purchasing. That is it is characteristic by concern with 5 rights, which concentrate excessively on the purchasing of tangible products and outcome decisions by means of which this product can be described or mentioned. Another one is the process-centered purchasing. Now, it moves beyond the concern with outcomes and begins to measure the process. So when we say product centered, meaning we are looking at the tangible product, that is the output. What I'm buying, can it fit what I need? And then when we talk about the process-centered purchasing, this one we are purchasing, even if the product is what you need, we will have to know that and analyze if this product or if this product is actually going to balance out, or if this product is actually going to to fit the process, or is it going to cause a jam in the main process. And then we have another one is the relational purchasing. There is expanded to include purchase supplier relationship and how this might be used to manage the quality and the nature of the supplier. Sometimes the relationship between the supplier and the one receiving the product is very important, because if you don't have a good relationship, products might sometimes a problem might occur, and it might be very difficult to solve the problem. So it is very important for the purchasing team to make sure that they have looked at the purchasing requirement, the relationship between the purchaser and the supplier. Then another one is the performance-centered purchasing. This focuses on the best product management methods. That is, it employs an integrated methodology to manage relationship, processes, and outcomes. Jointly resources this methodology will with the Y8 suppliers. So the performance-centered purchasing is we are purchasing. Sometimes you would have received a product from a supplier, and after receiving this product from a supplier, you have to look at it and see if actually you received a good it performed well, or it actually did the work that it was intended to do. So after confirming and making sure that it has performed well, then continuous supply and purchasing can proceed. So we have also some importances of purchasing and function, the importance of the purchasing function. Now, what are the importance? Why do we need to learn about purchasing? Sometimes you might ask yourself or wonder, you are taking an engineering course, you are a person taking certificate in electrical engineering, and Mwalimu tells you that you need to learn about purchasing. Why should I need to know why I should purchase? You realize that there's no discipline, or there's no profession that is a standalone. all disciplines or all professions that we have that do exist also have entrepreneurship merged in it, or whether it has entrepreneurship or we are talking about entrepreneurship or anything else, we will learn that anytime that we need to talk about purchasing affects every part. Even if you have a company and you think that you are not thinking of purchasing, you have to buy things. You'll buy furniture for your office, you'll buy materials to work, you'll buy services, you'll buy services like internet services, cleaning services. All these are purchasing. So the moment you pay for a good or a service, you are purchasing. So it is a very important unit for you guys because it will give you a prior knowledge. So even if one time you find yourself being employed or employing somebody in your company, you realize that you need the purchasing skills so that you can be able to manage these people. So the importance, let us learn the importances of this purchasing. So number one is the contribution of purchasing or to profitability and added value through cost cutting, and hence other variables remain constant. Every shilling saved on purchasing in a shilling. So we have another importance is it intensifies competition associated with the globalization of manufacturing that has emphasized the importance of quality, or not only in the relation of to design but also the materials, the parts and the components that comprise the goods. So it is good to know this, to learn these purchasing techniques before, because it will even put you on the competition market. You will know that this is where the market is. Sometimes now, like the telecommunication industry, they are always competing about the series of, that is the 4G, the 2G. We started with 2G, then we went to 3G, and then 4G, then now we are in 5G. So when you are not in the market, or when you don't follow the purchasing techniques, you will not be able to know where the world is. It will not put you in the competition field. So it is good and it is very well if you place yourself in the competition field. So another one is the contribution of procurement to supply chain strategy and management. Another one is the role of purchasing performs on behalf of other functions in the organization, e.g., sourcing, negotiation, and monitoring the status of materials. And then another one is purchasing saves the organization a large sums of money relative to the competition. Managers build a strong relationship with the suppliers. So when a company practices the purchasing tactics or the purchasing habits, then they are going to save a lot for the company because they use professionals who are aware and who are even been trained to do this purchasing. Sometimes the good purchasing ensures that the supplied commodities meet the required performance, and then the purchasing department does investigation and research concerning the nature of the product expected before it is purchased. So you see the purchasing department or the purchasing guys are very important in a company, and it's a process that you cannot do away when you want to purchase commodities for your company. Another one is purchasing managers advise other functions in organization concerning the specifications of the product. Those are some of the importances of purchasing that we have. Having done the importances, so we want to go to the objectives. And before we go to the objectives, I want to pause there and hear what you guys have gotten from what I've done. I want to hear if you're following me or I'm talking to myself. So unmute your mic so that we can talk. Can I hear you say something?
Yes.
Yes, Salad, say something.
We learned about purchasing. Nimesema purchasing is the acquisition of input of goods and services from external supply or or producer. We go down, learn about identification supply,
Mm-hmm.
qualifying and placing an order. We go down. the activities in purchasing. Stages, product center purchasing, process center purchasing, relational purchasing, performance center purchasing, and importance of purchasing functions, whereby we say it is profitability and adding value through cost cutting, we say procurement contribute to supply chain strategy and management and others.
Good. Yes, Edgar.
Yeah.
Now tell us the importance. Why do you think? Now I want you to relate to now the engineer. You know we are engineers,
Yeah.
and we normally say that these things like purchasing, procurement, they are meant for business guys. See, that is normally the common norm. So
Yeah.
I want you to say something about why it does an engineer need to learn about purchasing. Is it important to you, or you think? What do you think?
I think it is important.
Yes. Why?
Yeah. Kwa sababu as an engineer kuna vile itafika mahali kama umpata contract itabidi uende upurchase the goods ukamilishe contract yenye umepewa.
But at the same time you can employ somebody. Si watu wao wanasema mtu anakosa kwenda shule lakini bado ana employ watu. What if somebody tells you that see, I can also employ somebody who has learned about purchasing. So why should I learn purchasing? If you hear such a thing, why do you think? What can you tell this person, or what can you say to this person? Edgar,
Madam.
the ball is still on your court.
Si you just you learn purchasing ukuwe na hiyo knowledge so that ukuwa na save hiyo pesa unaenda kulipa mtu wa purchasing, you do it on your own.
At the same time pia unaweza ukakuwa manager.
Yeah.
Ukikuwa na idea ya purchasing, meaning you have the skills and you know what it is. So sometimes you can even avoid kunyanganywa ama is it being conned, or even the corruption that can come in, because purchasing is money. When you talk about purchasing and procurement, it's money. So when you have the idea, hata mtu akikwambia ati nilifanya hii, at least you know what is supposed to be done and you can control it.
Yeah.
Good. Now we can proceed. Now mute your mics again.
Adam.
Yes.
Nani Anto anasema amepotea. Kwani umeweka big blue button mara mbili ama?
Nilikuwa nimejaribu kucreate ingine lakini nikapata wameresolve ya kwanza. Wacha tu aingie ya kwanza yenye tumeingia.
Anasema ameingia moja na ako peke yake.
Mwambie atoke akuje kwa hii yenye wengine wako.
Sawa.
Sawa, tuendelee. Objectives of purchasing function. The standard statement of the overall objective of purchasing function is that it should obtain the right materials in the right quantity for delivery at the right time and the place and the right source and the right price. So this statement has been criticized by some as being rather superficial since a good objective should be measurable in some way, but who is to say, for example, what price is right? Now, because we said the objective of purchasing is for you to be able to get the good or the service that you want for so that your work can proceed. So the initial definition, we had already tried to rule it out, because it's like a perfect, you can never get a perfect 100% service or 100% purchasing process. So these are termed as the five rights of purchasing, which must be consistent with corporate goods and objectives from which the functional goals and objectives are derived. So in practice, some rights are irreconcilable, e.g., it may be possible to obtain the right quantity but not the right price. So therefore, the best supplier are often the business, but also the dearest. Now, now objective number one is to provide an interrupted flow of materials, interrupted flow of materials, supplies, and services required to operate the organization. That is, the stock out of raw materials and production parts should shut down the operation and can be extremely costly in terms of lost production, escalation of operating costs due to the fixed cost and inability to satisfy delivery promises to customers. So one of the objectives of purchasing, that as we have said, is one of the objectives of purchasing is to be able to provide an interrupted flow. Meaning, if I agree that I'll be supplying you milk to your company, I have to make sure that all the time milk does not lack, and I have to fulfill my promise of being able to do the supply. Another thing is to keep inventory investment and loss at a minimum. One way to ensure uninterrupted material flow is keep large inventories banks, which involves the use of capital purchasing. Being the largest single spender proves to be the control area where most management must emphasize. So it is about inventory, to keep inventory investment and loss at a minimum. So when we are purchasing, or sometimes we can even purchase things before, or order for things even before we pay for them. So when we purchase these things, okay, sawa salad, I've had that. To maintain adequate quality standards is to produce the desired product and services a certain quality level. A certain quality level is required for each material input. Otherwise, the end product or service will not meet expectations or will result in higher than acceptable production costs. So purchasing staff would be aware of the national and international standards. So we have said that another objective of purchasing is to maintain adequate standards. Kasheru, Anthony,
Yes,
Anthony,
yes,
you've just come in. Ulikuwa wapi?
huku tu nilikuwa
Huku
naingia hiyo
wapi?
ingine, napata myuko, napata niko peke yangu.
Sasa ukarudi huku.
Sasa ndio nimeuliza kwenye mko, nikaambiwa mko huku.
Sawa, karibu sana. Though tumesoma lakini utashika tu, sawa?
Sawa.
Haya. Tuko kwa objectives of purchasing. And now objective number 4 is to find and develop competent suppliers. That is, the success of purchasing departments depends on its skills in locating or developing suppliers, analyzing the supplier, and selecting the appropriate suppliers who are both responsive and responsible. The work of this department is to locate to develop competent suppliers. Meaning, there are suppliers who sometimes can even let you down at a time when you need them most. So the work of the purchasing department is to make sure that they get a list of people who cannot disappoint them. So another thing is to achieve a harmonious, productive working relationship with other departments within the organization. That is, purchasing actions cannot be effectively accomplished solely by the efforts to purchasing departments' cooperation with other departments. So it is to achieve the harmonious, the productive working, meaning the working has to be harmonious and has to go in line with what is supposed to happen in the company. So another one is to develop skills of purchasing staff through training to enhance some efficiency in performance. And then it creates and maintain database of purchasing and supply information. Then it also to instill some discipline of conduct in its staff through administering and purchasing ethics. So those are some of the objectives of purchasing. And I want us to go now to inventory. You realize that when you are purchasing, you need to have an inventory. An inventory is like a store or something that a stock. So how do we manage this inventory? And what is the need of us knowing about inventory? And that's why we'll discuss about the inventory in the next slide. So we need to know the stocks, that is the stock control and inventory. So when you are purchasing, for you to be able to manage the purchasing act very well, we have to know how to process or how to manage our inventory, or what about it. What are we supposed to do? Then the stock control and inventory is there. So stock control, otherwise known as inventory control, is used. Stock control, also known as inventory control, is used to show how much stock you have at any one time and how you keep track of it. So it implies to every item you use to produce the product or service. So from raw materials to finished goods, it covers stock at every stage of the production process. So from purchase and delivery and the use and using and reordering the stock. So reordering the stock, you remember that is purchasing again. So we continue purchasing, and we say that procurement and purchasing are sister departments. One cannot do without the other. So procurement is just to order the purchasing, and purchasing is the actual buying, meaning the spending of money so that you can get these services. So now efficient stock control allows you to have the right amount of stock in the right place and the right time. So it ensures that capital is not tied up unnecessarily and protects production if problems rise with the supply chains. So this guide explains different stock control methods, shows you how to set one up, and tells you where to find more information. So types of stock, my notes are not that, the font that I used is light, but I hope you are seeing that is the type of stock. More information about, you need to learn about the type of stock, how much the stock should keep, and then the stock control methods, the stock control systems, that is the keeping the track manually, the stock control system, that is again keeping the stock using a computer software, and using the RFID for inventory. Then we will look at all these things. And now we start with the types of stock. So everything you use to make your product, provide your service, and on run your business is part of your stock. So there are four main types of stock. Number one is raw materials and components. That is a stock. Raw materials, meaning these are the products or the items that are going to be used in the production process. These are the items that are going to be used. The raw materials are the things that we use in producing our product. Another type of stock is the work in progress, that is the stock or unfinished goods in production. So these are the things that are already in being used now, like the machines that we are using, or even the unfinished processed products. And another type of stock that we have is the finished goods that is ready for sale. That is, these are now the final product. These are the products that already been achieved and are already and can already be displayed and can be taken to the market for sale. So another one is the consumables, that is, for example, fuel and stationery is another type of stock. So for you to be able to know how to control the inventory or stock control, you have to know the type of stock that you are using. So there's another term that is called the stock value. That is, you can categorize stock further according to its value. For example, you could put items into low, medium, and high value categories. So if your stock levels are limited by capital, it will help you to plan expenditure on new and replacement stock. And now, if you may choose to concentrate resources on the areas of greatest value, then however, low cost items can be crucial to your production process and should not be overlooked. So those are under the types of stock and what are needed to be known under types of stock. So and the next question is, how much stock would you keep? Now, depending on what you are doing, depending on your work, how much stock should you keep at a time? Deciding on how much stock to keep depends on the size of the nature of your business and the type of stock involved. Now, if you are short of space, you may be able to buy stock in bulk and then pay a fee to your supplier its store, calling it off and when added, when needed. Meaning you pay for it, but they supply you when you need them. Meaning they keep the stock for you. Uh, Now we have advantages and the disadvantages of now knowing how to control the stock. Now that is keeping little or no stock and negotiating with the suppliers to deliver stock when needed has advantages. That is one of the advantages is efficiency and flexible. That is you only have what you need when you need it. Another advantage is lower storage cost because you don't need to store a lot of stock. Another one is you keep to take to date and develop new products without wasting stock. And then another thing is disadvantages now. The disadvantage of now negotiating with the supplier to keep your stock for you, that is meeting the stock needs can become complicated and expensive. Sometimes you will not even know what your stock needs or how it needs to be maintained. So it is very complicated and expensive, and then you might run out of stock if there is a hitch in the system. Then you are dependent on the efficiency of your suppliers. So this might suit your business if it's a fast moving environment where products develop rapidly. So the stock is expensive to buy and store. So the items are perishable and replenishing stock is quite uneasy. So what are the advantages of keeping lots of stock for yourself now, not leaving your supplier to keep for you? Advantages is it is easy to manage. You can manage them by yourself. And another one is low management cost because you don't pay for the supplier to manage them for you, and then you never run out of stock because the stock is always there with you. Then another thing is buying in bulk may be cheaper. It may be cheaper to buy in bulk because you already have some discounts. Then another disadvantage is higher storage and insurance costs. So you might need a lot of storage space, so you have to expense, or the cost of the storing might be very expensive. Then we have certain goods might perish. That is an disadvantage, and then the stock may become obsolete. That is before it is used. For example, you are buying maybe you are handling a boutique, and a boutique is sometimes used is a business for selling clothes. Sometimes you might stock up and buy so many clothes and realize that one type of clothing has gone out of fashion. And when it goes out of fashion, then you cannot be able to sell it again. So it becomes useless. So that is now certain goods might perish and the stock may become obsolete before it is used. Then another thing is your capital is tied up, meaning you've already paid your capital, is tied up and you cannot use it in any other way. So this might suit your business if sales are difficult to predict. That is, and if it is hard to pin down how much stock you need and when. Another thing is you can store plenty of stock cheaply, and the components or materials you buy are unlikely to go through rapid developments or they take long time to reorder. So stock levels depending on the type of stock there are four main types of stock. We have raw materials in components, and ask yourself key questions to help decide how much stock you need. So So you need an advice and even from experience to know the amount of stock that you need in place. So keeping stock or unfinished good can also be useful way to protect production if there is any problem in the line with other suppliers. That is finished good easily ready for sale. That is, you might keep stock of finished goods when the demand is certain, that when you know that actually I'm going to supply to this, when the goods are processed in batches, and then when you are completing a large order. That is one of the importances. So and then when there is reliability of the supply, then you can keep large stocks. Then when there is expectations of price rises, when there's how steady the demand, and then the discounts, buying in bulk. So we want to go to stock control methods. After going to stock control methods, then we will go to stock control systems, and then we will move to the next thing. So before I go to stock control methods, I want us again to discuss, because this is the second part of discussion. I want you to unmute your mics and tell me something about the inventory, stock inventory. Since we started, what have you learned about stock inventory? Somebody's to
Ah, salad.
Yes,
Madam ame.
Menda.
Sasa wacha si tuseme
Eh?
stock control and inventory
Eh?
is used to show how much stock,
Ah.
how much stock you use in any time. And alafu kuna hizo at guide explains difference book control method shows how 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 to set up and tells you mada
Bado hajaweka mic.
ajarudi
Amerudi lakini bado hajaweka mic. Ameweka sahi.
alafu kuna hizo sijui ati hizo the guides type of stocks, you how much stock you should keep, stock control method, stock control system. Salad
yes,
Yes,
sini hivyo
nakusikia.
eh,
Eh,
Edgar.
mada
Now ask the question you are asking. Leo nimekuwa na shida na network jameni. I hope the class will end well.
tulikuwa na discuss tu vile ulituacha.
Oh, so mmesema nini? Na mimi nisikie.
Sasa tulianza na stock control and inventory.
Mhm.
Tukadefine, tukaenda chini kwa the guides and the guides that explain different stock control methods,
And then we have like now the types of stock.
type of stocks, how much stock you should keep. Pia
And then the stock control methods is what now we are getting into, isn't it?
yeah.
So you guys, are you really understanding what we are discussing?
yes.
Good. Nimeona Gasheru tena ameingia. Anaingia akipotea. Leo shida ya network ni mbaya. Ameingia tena ameenda. Simsaidie kama ameshindwa.
Labda ni MBs.
MBs ndio shida. Lakini simsubscribe. Si kuna vile mtu anaweza nunua hata kama ni MBs ya 500 anamaliza nayo hata wiki mbili.
Mada. Wapi? Safaricom.
Safaricom ni shida.
Safaricom ni big problem. Safaricom hawawezi.
Hawawezi waka nini?
Hawezi kana hiyo bundle for 2 weeks.
Wanakata au kukata. Now what about Airtel?
Airtel now ina depend na mahali uko. People who are in town wako a bit
sawa.
advantage.
Airtel uko sasa.
Uko risafu hakuna.
Haishiki.
Airtel hakuna, haishiki.
Uko Isiolo Salad hakuna Airtel.
Haishiki vizuri.
Sasa tupambane tu. That's why nataka tukiingianga kwa online kusoma, we just do the kusoma, tunasoma, tunaonyesha hizo notes so that kama ni kudiscuss tunadiscuss mwisho kama tumemaliza content. Si hapo ni sawa? Sawa, we go to now we are going to the stock control methods. Now hapo kwa stock control, I hope you are seeing my screen very well. Yeah, there are several methods for controlling stock and are designed to provide an efficient system of deciding what, when, and how much to order. Now, like you remember when we were doing procurement, you have to decide between the direct and direct cost. Which one do you reduce the cost? Salad, mute your mic. And which one? Let us mute our mics. Good. Edgar, mute your mic. Sawa. So lazima tuamue sisi wenyewe what type of stock are we controlling, or what are we buying at a specific time, because you cannot buy everything at a go. So you may opt for one method or a mixture of two or more if they have various types of stock. For further information, see the page in this guide of the types of stock. Now we have type number 1, which is the minimum stock level. That is, you identify a minimum stock level and reorder one stock reaches that level. So this is known as the reorder level. Another one is the stock review. In stock review is you have regular reviews of stock. At every review, you place an order to return the stocks to the predefined level. That is when you're supposed to have like 20 cartons of milk in your shop, and then you realize that the stock has gone down. You do a review, that is a regular review, so that you can be able to always maintain that. So there's another one called just in time. The just in time, this aims to reduce the cost by cutting the stock to a minimum. That is, items are delivered when they are needed and used immediately. That is, there is a risk of running out of stock. So you need to be confident that your suppliers can deliver on demand. So the just-in-time method of stock control is a very bad one, though it works for some of the goods, but it's a very bad one because it can disappoint you one day if at times your suppliers cannot bring or cannot supply you stock on time. So another one is the batch control. The batch control management. In the batch control, now we have it is the managing the production of goods in batches. Now you need to make sure that you have the right number of components to cover your need until the next batch. That is the batch control. Now, if your needs are predictable, you may order a fixed quantity of stock every time you place an order. So, or order at a fixed interval, say every week or month. In effect, you are placing a standing order, or you need to keep the quantities and prices under review. So another method is the first in, first out. This is a system to ensure that the perishable stock is used efficiently so that it doesn't deteriorate. So stock is identified by date received and moved on through each stage of production in strict order. So the first in, first out, that means that when I buy this today, I'll have to sell them, all of them, before I can sell the ones that I will receive tomorrow or the other week. So that is a first in, first out, which is a very good method of stock control. So we also have the stock control system. These are some of the guidelines. The stock control system that is keeping track manually. Stock taking involves marking the inventory or list of stock and noting its location and value. It's often an annual exercise, a kind of audit to work out the value of the stock as part of the accounting process. Then codes, including barcodes, can make the whole process much easier, but it can still be quite consuming. So checking the stock more frequently, a rolling inventory avoids a massive annual exercise, but demands constant attention throughout the year. So radio frequency identification tagging, that is the RFID. This is like now, you if you go to supermarkets, you realize that the RFID, it's called the radio frequency identification, is used to tag a product so that you can know even the price or even the date of coming. That is, tagging using the handheld reader can offer simple and efficient way to maintain a continuous check on inventory. So see the package in its guide on using the RFID for inventory control, stock security and quality management. Any stock control system must enable you to, number one, track the stock levels, number two, uh, make orders, and number three, issue stock. So once you do that, sometimes the system can help you. Like now, we have you electrical engineers. We normally say that engineers are inventors. You can come up with even more easier ways of controlling stock. After us learning that we normally have problem with stock, now you can even come up with systems or even or machines or softwares that can be able to control stock. And once you can come up with such a thing, then you can hit the market and you can be able to solve the problems that many people have. So the simplest manual system is the stock book. Stock book is just for small businesses. You cannot do stock book for big businesses. It's which suits small businesses. Of course, that is what I've said, with few stock items. So it enables you to keep a log of stock received and stock you issued. So you record that now to this day I received these cartons of milk, and this day I've sold these cartons of milk. So that you keep that, so that you can maintain your stock. You can maintain the balance of your stock, and you can also know even the creditors and those people who even borrow without paying. So it can be used to alongside with the simple reorder system. For example, the two bin system works by having two containers of such items. So when one is empty, it's time to start using the second tin and order more stock to fill up the empty one. So another one is the stock cards. What are stock cards? Stock cards are used for more complex systems. Each type of stock has an associated card with information such as description. Another one is value, location, reorder levels, quantities, and lead times. Then information about the past stock history. So most sophisticated manual systems incorporate coding to classify items. Codes might indicate the value of stock, its location at which the batch it is from, which is usual for the quality control. Now we have stock control systems like now keep tracking by use of computer. We can track the stock by using the computer, that is computerized stock control systems run on similar principles in manual ones, but are more flexible and information is easier to retrieve. So you can quickly get a stock valuation or find out how well a particular okay, a computerized system is a good option for business dealing with many different types of business, uh, types of stocks. That is, other use features include now the stock and pricing data integrating with accounting and invoicing systems. These are things that are normally computerized and are in systems. Now we have like the sell orders. It generates a sell order immediately, or a processing or a purchase order processing can be integrated in the system so that stock balances and statistics are automatically updated as orders are processed. So that is, it means that when something is sold, it normally the computer normally, because now this mostly happens in supermarkets to help in stock control. That is, when things are sold, it is recorded the moment a receipt is given, meaning the things have already been sold and that stock has reduced. And then the processing, meaning during the processing, the computer can process now which are the goods that are in processing, meaning they are undergoing the branding or the identification. And then after now purchasing order processing, now after they have been purchased, now you have been supplied. The computer, the system can also be able to note and know the amount of goods that have been purchased. So we have a system or a calculator in the system that is able to balance and know that the way in between the processing, the sales, and the order to purchase goods. So I want to go down. The RFID, I already told you, it is called a radio frequency identification, and I know you know these things. It is not some, most people call it the barcode. When you go to buy an item and you are paying it for it at the supermarket or some of the shops, you realize that there's a scanning machine that scans at the barcode. So that is the RF frequency identification, to be able to know this type of good and even the price and even the date that it was brought in. Now, using the RFID for inventory control and stock security and the quality of management. So the radio frequency identification allows a business to identify individual products and components and to track them throughout the supply chain from production to the point of sale. An RFID tag is a tiny microchip plus a small aerial, which can contain a range of digital information about the particular item. The tags are encapsulated in plastic, paper, or similar materials and fixed to the product or its packing, to a pallet or container, or even a van or delivery truck. So these are things that are tagged. I've already talked about that. So we go to the stock security. Now, what is stock security? Is stock security, it keeps keeping stock secure depends on knowing what you have, where it is located, and how much it is worth. So good records are essential. Stock that is portable, does not feature the business logo, or is easy to sell on is a particular risk. That is stock security. Thieves and shoppers. That is the shoplifters. How do we make sure that we are managing the stock security and we are making sure that they are secure? So a thief coming in from outside is an obvious threat. So check the security around your premises to keep the risk at a minimum. Now, in a store, thieves may steal in groups. That is, some providing a distraction while others take goods. So these teach your staff to be alert and to recognize behavior like this. So set up a clear policy to make sure staff are trained in dealing with thieves. And then another thing, how you can enhance security is by offering to help customer. If you are suspicious, will often prevent a thief. So avoid using confrontational words like, still, if you do have to approach a suspicious thief and avoid getting into a dangerous situation. Now, protect your stock. How do you protect your stock? Number one, identify and mark expensive portable equipment such as computers. If possible, fit valuable stock with security tags. You can even see, and I am aware each and every one of you have ever visited our labs in the university. You realize that all the things that we have, all the expensive portable equipment that we have, like computers, they normally have a tag, the university tag, that is the RFID, the identification tag that is able to identify the product and to show that this product belongs to this place. So do not leave equipment hanging around after delivery. So put it away in a secure place. Record it and clear up packaging. So it is a good idea to dispose a packaging securely. Leaving boxes in view could be an advertisement to thieves. So if you leave boxes in view, you could advertise to thieves that we have already bought these things, so they just know that we can be able to steal from that place. So take regular inventories, that is, put CCTV in parking lots and other key locations. Then thief by staff. Now sometimes we can have staffs who are thieves. Then theft by employees can sometimes be a problem. So to prevent this, train the staff about your security system and your disciplinary policies and procedures. So by training them about the cost of the stock, theft will help, as many people aren't aware of the implications or for company turnover and the job security. So set up procedures to prevent theft. That is, staff with financial responsibility should not be in charge of stock records. Then restrict access to warehousing, stock rooms, and stationary cupboards. Another one is regularly change staff controlling stock to avoid collusion with bad practices. So another thing that I want us to discuss is the control of the quality of the stock. Now that we have already known how to stock up, we have already known how to secure our stock. Now we need to know how to make sure that the quality of the stock we have is up to standard. So quality control is a virtual aspect in stock control. So especially as it may affect the safety of customers or the quality of the finished products. So efficient stock control should incorporate stock tracking and batch tracking. This means being able to trace a particular item backwards or forwards for the source of the finished products. That is, we have efficient control, that is, should incorporate the stock tracking. We have to stock. Sometimes we can be able to track back and know where the problem started or where the failure started. So goods should be checked systematically for quality faults identified and the affected badge weeded out. So this will allow you to raise any problems with your supplier and at the same time demonstrate the safety and quality of your product. So with a good computerized stock control system, this kind of tracking is relatively straightforward. Manual stock control methods can also be codes to systemize tracking and make it easier to trace particular badges. So we can be able to control the quality by even marking where what time they were manufactured and who was even working, by giving them codes that this is code this. You will know that a product with this code was manufactured and or processed with date, so that you can be able to track and know where the problem in the system is. Then another one is the radio frequency identification can be used to store information about the product or components, and then manufacturing date. Hello.
Hello, hi Gladys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? You are well?
I'm well. I'm in class.
Oh, okay, sorry. You can just call back.
Yes. Okay, sorry for that. And then we have the red classification used to store information about a product or components and manufacturing date to ensure that it is sold or processed in time. So the system can also be used to trace faulty products quality quickly and efficiently. So see that the page in the guide also on the RAF for inventory control and stock security. We have already talked about now how to control the quality of the stock. How do you control the quality of your stock? So another thing is the stock control administration. There are many administrative tasks associated with stock control, depending on the size of the complexity of your business. So then they may be done as part of the administrator's duties or by a dedicated stock controller. We have now typical paperwork to be processed include now delivery. These are now the administration, delivery and supplier notes for incoming goods, purchase orders, receipt and credit notes, then return notes, and then requisition and issue notes for outgoing goods. Then we are almost done with the inventory. Then health and safety aspects on stock control are related to the nature of the stock itself. So issues such as where and how items are stored, how they are moved, and who moves them might be significant depending on what they are. So you might have hazardous materials on your premises, goods and that deteriorate with time, or items that are very heavy or awkward to move. So sometimes it is possible that you can have such problems. So it is good for you to be able to know how many the amount of the stock you need to carry to stock, or you need to have at a particular time. So up to that point, I think I'm done with the presentation today, and would like to hear from you before we finish.